Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend is here, and we are talking about touring the parks. All right, the hay is in the barn, as we say, Jed Blackwell. All your training should be done. You should be ready. We are heading towards Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend. That is coming up. We are taping this podcast the week after Christmas. When we promised you we would give you some tips and tricks on how to tour the parks, and for that time that you're going to be spending that is outside of racing those races in the morning. And so we have a special guest in the studio with us today, Jed, and she is pretty special to you as well, isn't she?
She is. My wife, Bonnie, is here with us today, and you said training was over. I would recommend that you need to be training if you're going to follow any of Bonnie's instruction, because I get what's called a Disney blister when I walk with her. My third toe on my left foot happens every year because we walk between 10 and 12 miles a day most of the time.
True story.
Yes, and let me preface this by saying we are going to give you great tips for touring parks and all the different things. And if you have not been to a park in several years, it has changed the way you have to tour the parks. But I want to say this to the especially the Dopey Challenge participants, which I am on, and we all know the Dopey Challenge. You're racing 4 days in a row. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday culminates with the marathon. You're not going to want to spend. You're not going to want to walk 10 miles in the park. So what you're going to want to do is, and as Bonnie is talking about the tips and the different things that you need to be doing, I'll be interacting with that of some ways that you can integrate that into a weekend to where you're going to be putting in 48.6 miles on a race course.
You're absolutely right about the changes. We go to Disney a bunch via the vacation club. We get down there. Gosh, it's been an average of every 18 months or so for the past 20 years.
Yeah, I think I counted it up. We've been on 17 trips since 1999.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good bit.
And I will tell you that post-pandemic, COVID didn't change anything outside of my day-to-day life as much as it changed Disney.
100%. It completely changed the way you have to do the parks.
Yeah, it did. You guys went down before we went down. We took the family down this past summer, and we've been, gosh, I don't know how many times we've been, but we've probably been that many times through the years, and it was a completely different experience.
Completely different. Yeah, it's some of the changes are good, some of them are confusing, some of them are not so great. Especially if you're like me and Jed and you like to park hop. The park hopping is like way different now. Which I guess if you're doing the Dopey Challenge, I kind of wouldn't recommend park hopping because you don't really have as much time to park hop. But there's been so many changes.
Well, let's. I'm looking at your list, and there are 10 very good points, but I'm gonna go out of order because a few of them make sense when you talk about them together.
Right. When I made the list, it was just how it came to me in my head. So yeah, the list probably needs to be grouped kind of together.
I guess let's talk about the first couple of things, just items 2 and 3 on your list, but we'll get to them first. The reservation system and park hopping. Give us a little overview of how those things work.
Okay, so with the reservation system, you now have to reserve your park for that day. Or you have to reserve a park for that day. So if you have the Park Hopper Pass and you're wanting to go to Magic Kingdom and Epcot, so you're going to go to Magic Kingdom first. So you have to reserve Magic Kingdom for that day. You do it through the app. It's really easy to do through the My Disney Experience app. You have to have a park ticket for that day before you can reserve your park. Now, park hopping, you do not have to make a reservation for your second park, but you cannot park hop until 2 p.m. Which, to me, with me and Jed, as many times as we've been to the parks, we've gone into a park and be done by 11 a.m. and then park hop. So you have to. The second thing about that is you have to have gone into your park reservation before you can park hop. So if you've made your reservation for Magic Kingdom, you have to have scanned in at Magic Kingdom before you can park hop to your other park.
And this is confusing. And I do want to say this about the park reservation, that as of the recording date today, which is December 28th, on Thursday and Friday of the Dopey Challenge, Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios are full.
Yes.
So you cannot make a reservation. And think of the reservations as you used to think about dining reservations, where you have to make the reservation. You can't, if the park is full, it's like on that Thursday, you can't just show up at Magic Kingdom and get in. You have to have a reservation.
You have to have
And think of the reservation as kind of your key to everything else. Getting in, you're going to talk about Genie Plus and the other things, but the very first thing you have to do is make that park. You have to, number one, you can't make a park reservation until you got tickets. So buy your tickets, get them connected to your My Disney experience that we'll talk about here in a minute, and then make that park reservation.
Yes, that park reservation is literally what drives your whole day. So if you're wanting to, if you haven't made any park reservations, you need to go into the app, see what's available, and you may just have to rearrange your schedule a little bit according to what parks are available, what days.
All right, let me ask you this question, Bonnie. So we don't park hop. I don't believe in park hopping. I think it's a waste of money.
I love it.
I know y'all love it. But
we also like to eat at different places.
We do. Yeah, I mainly do park hopping into Epcot just to go eat.
There are advantages to it. But let me ask you this. So let's take it, for instance, Friday. Magic Kingdom is booked. So you go into Epcot and then you want to park hop over. Can you park hop over into a booked? Do you see what I'm saying? Like on Friday, if you went into Epcot and then you wanted to park hop later, what determines whether you can get in Magic Kingdom?
You can. Here's the key to that. They do leave a little bit of availability for park hopping, even though it says it's booked, but it is limited. So there is a good chance that you could get over to Magic Kingdom and them not let you in. Yeah, because the park is full.
What booked means in their system is you can't make any more full reservations.
Yes. Because people come and go throughout the day. Some of the park hopping people may have left, and the system will recognize that because now they've scanned into another park. So then they know those spots are available in Magic Kingdom. So you could technically still park hop into Magic Kingdom.
And that does happen. People will make reservations. They will make park reservations and just trying to keep that place in line. And as long as you got tickets, you can make a park reservation. That does not mean you cannot change that reservation. And so there may be an opportunity. But like I said, as of this recording, talking about the weekend that we're going to be there, which is that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thursday and Friday, there is no availability in Hollywood Studios, which for those of you that are wanting to do Star Wars, all the things Star Wars, that's Hollywood Studios, and then Magic Kingdom, both have no availability.
We're talking about park hopping and the things that Disney is doing to monitor, and so it'd be a good time to talk about how they're monitoring all this stuff, and the way they're doing that is through the app. Talk about the app and how it works with Genie Plus and how it can help you plan your day, from everything from what time the bus is coming to ordering food.
The My Disney Experience app is one of the best things that Disney has done as far as navigating through the parks, if you play around with it and learn how to use it. The best tip I can give you the second you get to Disney World is turn your Wi-Fi off.
Yes.
The app 100% works better off of cellular than it does Wi-Fi, because yes, Disney has a whole lot of Wi-Fi hotspots, but everybody there is trying to use that Wi-Fi and it crashes a lot. Your app will run 100 times better without your Wi-Fi on. So turn that Wi-Fi off as soon as you get on property. You can set up your My Genie date, which is you have your park reservation. It knows what park you're going to that day. You go in and you pick your top things that you want to do that day.
So let me stop you right there, because it is where this was the newest thing for us when we went.
Us too.
Yeah.
It took me a while to figure out how to use it.
Yeah, let's not assume people know what My Genie is. So explain, before you get into the app and how My Genie and those things, explain this whole Genie and Genie Plus deal.
So My Genie is something that Disney created back in, I think it launched in October of 2021, the My Genie Day. So you have, it's 3 whole levels, and it's literally how you plan your day. You set your day up through what they call the free Genie, which is you just go in, you pick your top attractions, and it will literally plan your day for you according to what you pick as your top attractions. You can pull it up, and it'll be like, if you've picked Haunted Mansion as your top one, it'll tell you, it'll pop up on your screen. It'll say Haunted Mansion has a 15-minute wait right now. You need to go get in line. Or it'll say Haunted Mansion's time should drop between 7 and 8 p.m. That might be when you want to consider going and trying to ride that attraction. It will give you all of those tips. That is at 0 extra cost.
Very important for people to understand here, because I witnessed this and witnessed some irate people standing when I did the Genie Plus, which is the paid portion of this, and we were showing up to walk into Haunted Mansion, and we had a quote unquote fast pass, what I'll call the old fast.
I mean, it's the old fast pass.
Walking in with the paid Genie Plus, and there would be someone standing there, and they would have their Genie. I was like, well, I planned my day to be at Haunted Mansion at this time. That does not mean that you go in the quote unquote fast pass lane. You're just at that point, you're just scheduling your day, and it gives you tips.
Correct. Yeah, it's helping you try to navigate your way through the park. It's giving you tips on when wait times are low, tips on when you might want to go eat at certain restaurants. It's literally just trying to be there as a guide to help guide you through the park. Genie Plus is what is the extra cost. I personally loved using Genie Plus. There are a lot of people out there that don't like paying that extra cost. To me, it was worth it. We were there at a busy time. I know you were there the week after us, and it was fairly crowded when y'all were there. It was probably the most crowded I've ever seen it when me and Jed were there. And we never had an issue getting a Genie Plus that we wanted. Some people say that they only get to use like 2 because of this, that, and whatever. But I think it's because people didn't really learn how to use it properly, because you can, what we call fiddle faddle. You can keep refreshing your page, and the times will change, and you can pick different times.
So let's talk about this, because some people right now their head is spinning.
it's exploding.
But because for those of us that used to have a paper fast pass system, which you would go to the ride attraction, you put your ticket, your card in or whatever, it would spit out a paper fast pass. Then it changed to where you started doing your fast passes 3 at a time, and you would do that through the app. And then we come to this. And so because here's a change of this. So let's say you've made your park reservation. And again, remember, that is the very first thing you have to do is get your park reservation. So you've made your park reservation for Magic Kingdom. At what point do you go in and start picking your Genie Plus? How much is Genie Plus? And then at what point do you start picking your attraction?
Okay, so Genie Plus starts at $15 per person per day. It now fluctuates according to day and time of year. My guess is because you can't see how much it's going to cost until that day. My guess when y'all are there for the marathon is going to be somewhere between $15 and $20 a day. It'll probably be the $15 because it's in January, which is not a very busy time of year. So you have.
I would think though that on the days when there is no availability at those 2 parks, I think it would spike up toward that $29
and
range.
It may go up to that $29 per person per day, which is the highest that it will be. So you can pay for Genie Plus starting at midnight on the day that you're going to be in your park, up through whatever time during the day.
Do that. Set your clock.
Set your clock.
Buy it at midnight.
Buy it at midnight.
So you're going into the park on Friday. You're talking about Thursday night.
At 12 a.m.
12 a.m. Well, Friday morning.
Yeah,
as
12
soon
a.m. Friday morning. Go ahead and buy it. That way you're done with it. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
Because it is limited, correct?
It is limited.
And-
I have not heard of any instances where it has sold out. But
And
it is limited.
And the price is not going to fluctuate during the day. What you pay at midnight is going to be what somebody pays at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
So you buy it at 12, then what happens?
So at 7 a.m., you can book your first Genie Plus attraction. That is for all guests, whether you're staying on property or not. You can book that first one at 7 a.m., which is what I highly recommend. Whether you're going into the park when the park opens or you're going into the park at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Get up and get that first Genie Plus. Whatever, have a list of which attractions you want to try and get Genie Plus for. Each park has harder ones, like Magic Kingdom, for instance. I would book Jungle Cruise or Peter Pan. If those are two things you want, pick one of them, book it first thing. Now,
And let me speak to that too. That some of you may be thinking, wow, Magic Kingdom, you've got Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, you've got Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, you've got all these things, but remember what you're talking about is with the Genie Plus, you're trying to limit your wait time. And for those of you that have been in the parks, you know that those are two attractions. Even if you don't, I'm not a big fan of Jungle Cruise, and I know it's nostalgic.
it's not my favorite.
Yeah, but it really backs up. Peter Pan is one of those things I'm going to ride every time I'm in Magic Kingdom, and it notoriously backs up.
And with Genie Plus is more like the original Fast Pass system. It is whatever is first available, and they will sell out. So there have been instances where something like Jungle Cruise, all of them were gone for the day by like 7:05 a.m. They're gone.
So
you're not going to get one.
So you book your first one at 7 a.m.
Yes.
And then when is the next action that you take?
So here is the confusing part about Genie Plus. You can book your next Genie Plus attraction either after you have scanned in to the attraction that you have booked. That hour window has expired for whatever reason you didn't make it, or 120 minutes, which is 2 hours after you have booked your last one.
But
that 120 minutes does not start until the park opens. So if you book it at 7 for Jungle Cruise, Magic Kingdom opens at 9 a.m. for guests. You cannot book another one until 11 a.m.
Unless
now, if that first one was at 9:30 and you get on there and you write, as soon as you scan in, you can then book your next one.
And this is where there are a couple of distinct strategies. Some people like to book early. I want to book as early as I can so I can get my Genie Plus window turning. Others, which I do
Stack.
this. Yeah, I will what you call stacking, which I'm going to let you explain. But I look at that early morning. And here's the great thing about the marathon weekend. And this is what I would say to all of you men and women out there doing the Dopey Challenge, is on Thursday and Friday. Listen, you're going to be back you're going to be done with the race, the 5K and 10K days, and you're going to be back at your resort. You may be back at 7 o'clock in the morning. You're talking about running a 5K 5 in the morning and a 10K 5 in the morning. You're going to be.
That's why I don't run.
Yeah, you're going to be back at your room. What I recommend on those days is you get back, you obviously eat, you take a shower, and then you get on your bus and you go to the resort and you be there when you open, because you can. For those of you that go to Disney, one thing has not changed about Disney is if you want the most successful day you can have, be there at rope drop. And
rope drop.
Yeah, what rope drop means is when they literally let you go into the park, you need to be there, and you can absolutely smash out some stuff in the first 2 hours.
They used to actually literally drop a rope. I've been there and seen it.
Then it was like a hurt.
Then it was like a mad rush.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So you mentioned stacking these Genie Plus deals. What does that mean?
So the way stacking works, so let's say you're going to, I'll pick Hollywood Studios for example. So you're going to Hollywood Studios and you book let's say you book Slinky Dog Dash right at 7 a.m. The first available time you want to be stacking. So you have to, if you're wanting to go later in the afternoon, you kind of have to watch the times. Used to, you could kind of pick your time, but it won't let you do that anymore. You have to keep refreshing it and wait for a later time to be available at that time. So let's say you're going to get to the park at 4, or you want to ride it around 4, you watch it, okay, it's 4 o'clock, you book it. So Hollywood Studios opens at 8:30. So at 10:30, you can book another one. So at 10:30, you book Rock and Roller Coaster for 5 o'clock, 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Then every 2 hours, you keep booking them for later in the day. But you still want to get there. Let's say you still get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, then there's a whole bunch of stuff you can go and do. The shows, maybe get in line for an attraction that you've rope dropped that you don't have a Genie Plus for. Knock all of that out, and then have all of your lightning lanes for later in the day. And then just start knocking them out.
Never do a show in the morning.
Do Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular early in the morning?
Absolutely not. You talk about a waste of touring time. But hey, listen.
Or there are a lot of people that'll ride stuff twice. They'll stack in the afternoon and then go ride everything and then go ride everything again.
I'm going to tell you this to the show point. If you're at Hollywood Studios and you've got some wait time between these lightning lanes, you can't book another one, go do Frozen. It's awesome.
I love Frozen shows.
It snows inside.
Or go Baseline Tap House and eat you a cheese board.
Yeah, do that too.
Yeah, I mean, that Frozen sing-along is really good. And, I mean, there are some time killers, and I say that kind of jokingly.
Filler attractions.
But in the mornings, my kids will tell you. I mean, when we hit it, and they know. I mean, we are on a mission. We're standing there, and when they start marching you through the park, we are on a mission that first couple of hours, and you can absolutely smash some stuff out. And especially for those of you doing the Dopey, which you're not going to be in the park all day long. So you've got to, if you're going to utilize the lightning lane, I would say, there are you got to determine what your priority. I say lightning lane. If you're going to use Genie Plus, you got to determine your priorities of what are the must do's, must rides. Get those done with Genie Plus, and then go in and, like when you go into Magic Kingdom, if you want to use your Genie Plus for the mountains, Splash Mountain, Space Mountain, any of those, well, head straight to Fantasyland, knock out the Mine Train, Peter Pan, and those early. And when the wait time, now the Mine Train is one that it will back, if you're not there at the very, very beginning, it will, when they open the park, it'll jump to a 90-minute wait.
Yes. Now,
right after it opens.
I will tell you that 90-minute wait may not actually be accurate because they post that because they have a feeling that's what the line's going to get to within an hour. If you get in that line first, don't let that 90 minutes throw you off. Your wait might actually only be about 20 or 30 minutes.
Yep. And I've got a picture, which it was a crowning achievement at Magic Kingdom for us. We actually, me and two of my daughters, we got a picture at the opening of Mine Train. We were on the pole position. We were literally
nice.
We made it to first. We made it to first in line for that. But it's crucial. I cannot say it enough how crucial it is to be there when that park opens and to start knocking stuff out. So I slipped and said the words lightning lane.
Yes.
What is that? What is a lightning lane, and how does that differentiate from Genie Plus?
So the words lightning lane actually refer to the actual line. that they're all called lightning lanes. You'll see that sign up. It's not called when you're getting in the physical queue. It is called the lightning lane line. It used to say fast pass. Now it says lightning lane. Now, each park has one attraction that you have to, if you want to use that lightning lane, you have to pay additional money for it. That is not included in Genie Plus. You do not have to have purchased Genie Plus to be able to purchase that attraction. But if you've purchased Genie Plus, you still have to pay that additional cost.
It's completely independent. It doesn't. It's $12 to $15, and it's just pay it or don't.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the newest attraction over at Epcot, is ranging between $17 and $22. Okay. But that attraction, you can, if you are staying on property, you can book that attraction at 7 a.m. If you are staying off property, you cannot book it until the park opens.
So, explain how do they book that?
So
and this is you don't have to pay a dime to do this, right? If you're going to try to book Guardians of the Galaxy at 7 a.m.
Oh, that's the boarding route. Yeah,
the virtual.
Yeah. Actually, you need to talk about the virtual queue because I've never done one.
Yep.
But I personally, with Guardians of the Galaxy, since it did have you could purchase it, I paid for it so I could pick my time and plan my day around it.
And let me say this to you folks that are going to Disney for the first time. You have not done Guardian. And my favorite attraction, which I am definitely going to. My daughter is going, and it's her favorite attraction too. We're going to ride it as many times as possible. My favorite attraction in all of Disney is Splash Mountain, which is being completely rethemed. This will be your last opportunity to ride it in its current format. Avatar is, just an unbelievable attraction. But in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy is the best thing Disney has ever, best attraction they have ever.
It is 100% probably the best roller coaster that I have ever ridden.
And while we're on the lightning lane subject of buying these things, I'll say that if that is the case, then the Star Wars ride, the Rise of the Resistance experience, is 1A.
Yeah, Rise of the Resistance is absolutely it's not a ride, it's an experience.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I forgot about that, but it is when Disney talks about total immersion experiences, that is what it is.
You're basically a character in a play, and you don't realize it until it starts.
Yeah. And that's another virtual queue. And this is, here are some things that I would say are, again, if you have not been since these things are going, here's what the virtual queue means. For those of you that don't know what queue means, that means line. So basically you're getting in what a virtual queue is, and you do these at the same time. When you pull up your My Disney Experience app, you will be able to see, like if you have a reservation in Hollywood Studios, you can scroll down and you will see Rise of the Resistance, and it will say enter virtual queue. And what you do is you hit the button, and it's at 7 a.m. And here's a tip for you. If you're going to be booking Disney Genie Plus or buying a lightning lane for, let's use Hollywood Studios, for example. Or let's use Epcot. We were just talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. So let's say you want to ride that twice. The only possible way you can ride that twice is to get in the virtual queue and to purchase the lightning lane.
It has no standby line right now. You cannot just go get in line.
Yeah, you can't just show up right. So what we would do is I would be on one phone, my son would be on the other, and I would be doing the virtual queue. It's calmed down some, but at the time we were there, it was, if you didn't do it right at 7 a.m., you would not. So when you hit the virtual queue, basically you go into where you have boarding, what they call boarding groups, and it's times, and it may say you're boarding group 77. Well, and it'll give you an estimated time of when they're going to call you back. So it may say, and there's nothing you can't change that time. When you get in a virtual queue, that is your time. The same. So then you go to the park and you're doing everything. What you have to kind of do then at that point, like if you're booking fast pass attractions, still call them fast passes, through the Disney Genie Plus, you have to kind of plan your thing around that, because when they call you, you've got X amount
I think it's an
of time.
hour.
Yeah, you got 1 hour to come in, and if you do not make it back, I'll say this: it is not like it used to be with the old paper fast pass system, where you could just show up at any time they let you in. They will not do that. They will not let you in. So you have to kind of plan that. But we would get in the virtual queue, and then at the same time, I would have my son hitting the lightning lane to purchase the lightning lane for Guardians. So then at that point, we would be able to ride it 2 times. We would, whatever the lightning lane time was, that we would have to pay for. But then the virtual queue, you do not have to pay for that, but you have to do it. Don't expect that and this is another benefit of being able to stay on property. Don't expect to be able to show up at the park and then hit that lightning lane and get into a boarding group. Now, at 2:00, I believe it is, inside the park, they open up again.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
So if you're park hopping, you're missing out.
Yeah, you're missing. So at 1 o'clock, you got to be inside the park. It doesn't matter if you're a resort guest or whatever. You literally have to be inside the park. They open up some other things for the virtual queue where you can get on, and you will see people at 1 o'clock. Literally, everybody will just be staring down at their phones and trying to get in that boarding group. So for Rise of the Resistance, really, there's only 2. Well, I would say 3. Avatar still kind of has and there's now, Avatar, Rise of the Resistance, and Avatar's in Animal Kingdom. Rise of the Resistance is in Hollywood Studios, and then Guardians of the Galaxy is in Epcot. Those are the 3 that are really back up and
Really do.
Yeah, so the Rise, and I think Avatar, you can still get in
Rise of
standby.
Resistance and Avatar both have standby lines.
Now they'll be with a full park. Rise of Resistance will be 3 or 4 hours long.
And I will also say this about Rise of the Resistance: it is so technologically advanced. It breaks down a lot.
Yeah.
So if there's no other ride that I would suggest purchasing that lightning lane for, it is that one. Because if it breaks down during your time, they give you a what they call a experience redemption that you can use for that attraction whenever it comes back up.
Yeah.
If you're just in the standby line, you're just out of luck when it breaks down. You've got to get out of line, and then you're going to have to try and figure out how you're going to get back in line. But with that, I mean, it happened when me and Jed were there.
Yeah.
We had it at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and it had not even come up that day. And I think we ended up riding it at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it came back up.
No, I think
it was later in the day.
I think we rode it a little bit earlier, but yeah, it was still.
It was a couple hours after we were scheduled to ride it.
Had we not bought it, we wouldn't have had that option.
And just to let you know, if something like that does go down and everybody is watching their phone and everybody that has purchased it and they see that it comes back up, they're all going to get in line right then. The standby line can then be hours long because they will take all of those people that have purchased that ride literally like 30 to 1.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get those people through the line because they paid the extra money for it.
Yeah, for those 2 rides, for Guardians and Rise of the Resistance, it's definitely worth paying.
100% worth it.
Do it. And look, you just got to forget about it. I mean, I know for those of us that have gone for years and years, I don't like paying for fast passes, but it is what it is, and I think you can use it to have a good experience inside of the parks.
You brought up a point that you and Will were using 2 phones at the same time. That's another thing. You can link everybody that's in your party, everybody that's staying in the room with you, can be on the same My Disney Experience.
Yes, account. Yeah.
The account. Everybody will have it on their phone, but it's one account. And we were standing at the elevator when Bonnie was booking Guardians of the Galaxy. I was buying something else. I can't remember what. Or booking Genie Pluses. I can't remember exactly what I was doing.
Genie Plus for Remy.
Entirely possible.
Yeah.
But we were doing 2 things at the same time. So you can, like you were saying, that is very possible to do. And it doesn't have to be the same thing. you said you and Will were doing the same ride. You can do different stuff. You can plan your day out that way using multiple people.
And once you have booked that Genie Plus or bought that Lightning Lane, you cannot book that attraction again.
Yep.
It is a one-time deal. I will tell you, if you are just absolutely against purchasing those extra rides, you've got Avatar over Animal Kingdom, Rise of Resistance at Hollywood Studios, and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at Magic Kingdom. And you don't want to rope drop because you're tired from running or whatever you did that morning, you can get in line up until park close and wait in line for those 3 attractions. You can do that.
And I would say if you're there doing the Dopey Challenge, you do not want to do that.
Right.
I was going to say, you might not want to do that if you've got to get up and be, like, what time do you get up for, like, the half marathon on that Saturday?
Well, that's a muchly debated question. People will, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, that a lot of people, and especially if it's your first time and if you're a worrier, then you're going to be, 3 o'clock, the latest you're going to be on a bus. On a bus. So you back that up to...
Again, why I don't run.
Right.
Now, me, what I do is when I get to my resort, I talk to the... because buses will be running to the expo and other things. I talk to the people up around. I was like, hey, when does the last bus run? And because here's why. If you, and again, I'm not telling you to wait till the last bus because some of you that's going to send you into orbit. Here's what I like to do. I like to ride the last bus. It's less crowded. I get there. The huge crowd has already gone through security. Basically, you walk through security, you walk through the little area out front, and then you walk to the corral. And I like to get to the corral and be there about 30 minutes before the race starts. And so it's an early morning, but I've never had a problem, waking up at 3:30. Now, granted, all my stuff's ready in the morning. So when I say I wake up, I wake up, I don't take a shower in the morning before a race. I'll just throw some water on my face, get my coffee, get my hydration, anything that I'm carrying with me to the race. And I walk out, go to the bus and then go. So I've never had a problem with that. And I like to be on one of the last buses coming. So, your touring strategy on that's spot on. The best time to tour is early in the morning and late at night.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, the kids are acting crazy and they've been taken back to the resort and the park kind of clears out and you can tour. But for the Dopey, some of these parks that are open late, if you get in line we did this last year at Hollywood Studios. We pulled the open to close and we were targeting it and where we like riding, Tower of Terror real late at night.
Yep.
It's an awesome ride at night.
Yeah, it's just a different experience. And so we timed it where I think they were closing at 10 that night where we got over there. We wanted to get in line like 9:59 and up until 10 o'clock, you can get in line.
Yes.
So we got in line and it was like an hour and 15-minute wait at that point, but that was kind of part of the experience of doing that. But you're definitely going to want to take advantage of the early morning hours and get everything done so you're not walking like kids at 10 miles in the park as you're doing these other things.
You mentioned taking advantage of early morning hours and also said staying at the resort. So let's talk about that for a second. What are the benefits of staying on Disney property?
Biggest benefit, you can book those paid for attractions. I call them fancy rides because you have to pay extra for them at 7 a.m. where people staying off property can't. So you've got to jump on them for that. Also, you can the Disney transportation to me is a huge plus to all the parks. Disney Springs, it to me, especially at Magic Kingdom, driving to the parks to me is a hassle because you got to pay that extra to park. Then you got to park. I don't think they're running trams again yet from the parking lots to the front of the parks.
No.
So you've got a long walk before you ever even start your park day, and the buses literally drop you off at the door.
In my opinion,
at the gate.
In my opinion, it is the number one benefit of staying on the resort property.
Disney transportation is absolutely phenomenal.
And we talked about this about marathon weekends. Same thing. Literally, the routine I just told you about of getting up, throwing some water on my face, having all my nutrition and stuff for the races ready, throw my stuff on. I'll walk out of the resort, and it's kind of the Walking Dead at that point. At that time in the morning, literally just walk out and get on the bus, and that bus takes me right there. Same thing with the parks. You go out to the bus stop, buses pull up, and they'll say Magic Kingdom. They'll say Hollywood Studios. You get on that bus, sit down, and you just go do your thing.
And there are people that complain saying they might have to wait 20 or 30 minutes on the bus. But let me tell you, if you're driving to Magic Kingdom, you need to add 45 minutes to an hour to your we're getting there time because of having to park at the Ticket and Transportation Center and either wait on the monorail or the ferry to take you over there.
That's a big surprise.
It literally adds that much time.
That's a big surprise for a lot of people. They think, hey, we're going to drive to Magic Kingdom, especially if it's their first time. They think they're pulling up to like Carowinds or Six Flags.
No.
Where you pull up and you walk. No, you pull up, like you just mentioned. They're not doing the trams, so you walk. You have a pretty good walk down to where the Ticket and Transportation Center is. That is not the park. You go to the Ticket and Transportation Center. You get in line for either the ferry or the monorail, and then those things take you over. And if you've never been on the monorail, you need to ride the monorail because it's kind of an icon of Disney. But sometimes there's a long wait for the monorail or the ferry. You get on that, and then it takes you over. And then at that point, that's where you get into security and coming into the park, and that's where you actually enter Magic Kingdom.
And I will tell you, for Magic Kingdom, rideshare is not any better because the Uber and Lyft drop you off at the Ticket and Transportation Center. They do not drop you off at the gate.
Yeah, the only way you're going to get to the park and not have to go through the Ticket and Transportation Center is on Disney buses, or if you're staying at one of the monorail resorts.
Yes. Now, you can walk from the Contemporary, and the Grand Floridian now has a walking path. You can walk it. So if you had like a dine-in reservation at like Chef Mickey or over at Grand Floridian, you could leave your car parked there and walk. But I wouldn't recommend it because especially Grand Floridian, that's going to be a long walk back at the end of the day, especially if you're doing the Dopey Challenge.
It is. And there used to be some flexibility, and some people would kind of play the system, and they would show up at the Contemporary and say, hey, we want to walk around and check out the Contemporary. And they would just go park in the Contemporary. They do not, unless
you have to have a reservation.
Yeah, unless you have a dining reservation or you are staying on that property, you are not getting in. You're not getting in that property. So don't be disappointed there.
No, Jed and I have done that before, but it was late at night. We had a dining reservation and we just left the car parked there. Some people will try to say, well, go park at Disney Springs and park for free, and then get a bus to one of the resorts, and then get a bus to the park. But you're adding a lot of time doing that.
It is, and I have, not because of that reason, but we were at Disney Springs, and me and Will were wanting to go back. We were wanting to go back to a park and leave them there to do whatever you do in Disney Springs. And there's a lot to do in Disney.
If it was your girl, if it was you and Will, and your girls were being left at Disney Springs, it's called shopping.
Yeah, if it's me, it's eat giant cookies.
Yeah, eat giant cookies. There's a lot of good food in Disney Springs. But we went to and at this point, there used to be buses that would go to the parks from Disney Springs, and then they stopped that because people were coming and just parking there and then taking them. So we were like, well, we'll just get a resort bus and then hit it. I was very surprised at how long it took from Disney, because if you don't catch the buses perfect, you could be looking at an hour.
Easily an hour, if not longer. So if you're trying to rope drop, especially, I mean, if you're trying to rope drop, that's not the best way to do it, because the buses aren't going to be running at Disney Springs that early. But that is the number one reason to stay on property is Disney transportation and getting to and from the parks.
No doubt.
There is one thing I want to talk about since we're talking about the My Disney experience, and that is mobile order.
I was going to bring that up.
Did y'all mobile order?
We did. I wasn't going to, and Jed talked me into that. He was like, "Man, the mobile ordering is awesome. It's awesome." So explain what the mobile ordering is, and I'm going to say a couple of. Then I'm gonna follow up with a couple of experiences we had and a couple of things we learned.
Yeah, because y'all were a family of 7, and me and Jed are 2 adults. So you can mobile order. Let's say you decided that you want to do quick service for lunch. You know where you're going to go. You know kind of what time you want to eat. As soon as you get in the park, whether it's 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, whenever, you can place that mobile order. Go ahead, place it, pick the time that you want to pick it up.
Pay for your food, so you don't have to stand around and do that either.
Go ahead, you pay for it right there on the app. It's got all of your card information, everything on the app. You then go to that restaurant at that time, click on the little button that we are here, and then within like 5-10 minutes, it tells you your order is ready. You go pick it up and you sit down and you eat. I absolutely love it.
We were not sold on it. We didn't know whether we were going to do it or not. And we watched a couple of blogs that said it was beneficial, and Bonnie talked to, I think, a couple of people who said it might be beneficial. And it was very crowded in Animal Kingdom our first day of the trip.
It was that Monday.
And we mobile ordered our lunch. We're going to the canteen over in Pandora, which is where the Avatar ride is. And when we got there was literally a line around the building.
Yes.
Nowhere to sit outside much. And we walked up and Bonnie was going to try to sneak a table. And the person said, "Did you mobile order?" And the answer was yes. And they let her sit down. We had ordered, I guess, 8:30 that morning, and it was near noon.
Yeah.
Now, we'd set up, I think it was 11:55. We'd set up to return. And you just hit, "I'm here." Much like if you've gotten curbside service from a restaurant around here, and like Five Guys, I think, is one. When you tell them you're on the way and they'll start cooking your food, you tell them you're here and they'll start bagging it. When you say, "I'm here," and because it's Disney quick service and everything's pretty much standard, they'll start making it right there. I think we waited 5 minutes, and there were people in line for an hour.
Yeah, and there were people that now it was really busy when we were there. I don't think y'all have this problem in January. There were times that they were like, if you didn't mobile order, you weren't getting in line.
Right.
Like you had to mobile order.
Yeah, and a couple of things that we learned was the first time we tried the mobile order, we tried it, and it was like pulling up to. Sometimes we'll pull up to Chick-fil-A. I was like, "I'm gonna do my order real quick, bang, hit it,
be in line." Yeah.
Okay, so the first time we tried to do it, we just walked up at 11:45, 12 o'clock, whatever it was, and we was like, "Okay, we're not gonna wait." I told you, I was like, "We're not gonna wait in that line. We're gonna mobile order." And so I pulled up the mobile order to order. And like I said, it was 11:45 or so. The first time that we could pick that food up was like 1:15.
Right.
Yes.
And that was because we had not done it before. So we learned right then, okay, decide where you're going to eat. And again, some people like this, some people don't. That some people think the criticism of all these things we talked about from some people, some Disney fans is, I don't want to have to plan out every single second of my entire vacation. But the positive is, you can go in, and if you know what you're going to eat, like we know when we're in Magic Kingdom, we know we're going to go to Sleepy Hollow. We know we're going to get the Nutella waffles and the spicy.
The Nutella waffle.
And I love the spicy chicken one. They like I love the spicy chicken one. We know we're going to get that, and so we and that's where we made the first mistake. Was we were there and there was a long line, we could not do the mobile order until then. So then we learned that we went ahead and decided. And again, there's 7 of us, and so as you can imagine, that's a process of finding out what everybody wants to eat. But we would do those in the morning and just set it for and then it would come up, when do you want to pick it up? And we would just show up, we're there, sit down, and then the food, it would tell us when it was ready, and we just go pick it up.
And it was
awesome.
so easy.
Yeah.
So easy to do. I will tell you though, mobile order, anything that you buy through the app, mobile order, Genie Plus, the individual lightning lanes, anything like that is connected to whatever card you have set up on your My Disney experience. You cannot charge that stuff to your room.
Right.
Yes.
It is not a room charge. If you're wanting to put your food on a room charge, you're going to have to get in line. That mobile order is not connected to your room.
Yeah, but I would say I'm 100% believer in it of the mobile ordering, and there are a ton of. Obviously they've got a lot of really good full service restaurants in Disney as well, but over the last several years, the quick service options have really been upped, and there are some really good quick service options.
I was really surprised at how much the food at Hollywood Studios has gotten better.
Yes.
Hollywood Studios used to have the worst quick service and table service food, and it's actually gotten a lot better in the last couple of years.
Well, we were there for Food and Wine, the Food and Wine Festival. No, the Flower and Garden Festival. They had some outdoor booths, and we took advantage at Epcot of a bunch of the outdoor booths and ate some pretty good stuff. But there was a buffalo chicken grilled cheese at Hollywood Studios at the ABC Commissary that we both agreed was probably the best thing we had that week.
I have dreams about it.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, the grilled cheese game there is
like I feel like I'm a 5-year-old eating a grilled cheese. It was so
great.
good.
Nice.
We've talked about a bunch. I wanted to circle back to one thing that you said earlier and translate it from Bonnie to English. You said fiddle faddle, which is a word
Yes.
you picked up from a
Molly.
blog
Yeah.
that you watch. But what she's talking about is everybody's familiar with this. You've just posted some fire on Facebook. You know it's going to get a bunch of interactions, and you keep refreshing with your thumb. You just scroll down with your thumb and it pops up, and sometimes it'll refresh and sometimes it doesn't. That's what she means. Go in the My Disney Experience app, go to your day, go to the experiences that you've picked and ranked in order, and there's a screen that will let you search for, if you're eligible to book one at the moment, you can search for Genie Plus. Just keep refreshing.
Yeah, if it's a time that you don't want, and you can go into your My Genie Day and check the attractions that you want. And when you go to what they call the tip board, which off of the app there's a specific thing, and on that tip board it lists all the attractions and the current wait times and what the time would be for a Genie Plus if you were going to get it at that time. If it's not a time you want, refresh. Just keep refreshing that page, and eventually those times change. So there may be a time it can go. Me and Jed did the Millennium Falcon this way. It was showing 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 7:30, and I just kept refreshing as I was sitting there eating, and all of a sudden it popped up 1:30, which was 30 minutes from the time I said, "Ooh, book it." And so I got it for 1:30 in the afternoon instead of 7 o'clock at night.
We literally did that eating a snack.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do when you check into the Genie Plus that you have currently, as soon as you scan your phone or your Magic Band or whatever it is you have, as soon as you scan it, you can book another one. You don't have to wait. You're off. You have completed the experience as soon as you scan in. Now, there are a couple places that have 2 places to scan in. Ask the cast member, "Hey, is there another place I have to check in?" If there's not,
Go ahead and start
while
looking.
you're in line, it will be a minimal line. But while you're in that minimal line, start looking for the next thing you
Start
want to
looking
do.
for the next one.
Yeah.
The key is to always have one. If you've bought Genie Plus for that day, always have one booked.
Yeah, and the minutes can turn into hours as far as booking, because especially there are a couple of times that are crucial. And I would say probably the most crucial time to be, especially if you've booked one, say you booked an experience for 1:00. You bought your first Disney Genie Plus is for 1:00. So that means you're going to go in the park at 9. Your next availability to book is going to be at 11:00. Here's the deal. If you wait 5 minutes past 11:00, your time is going to drastically change by hours, because do you know what the vast majority of guests in the park at 11:00 are doing?
Booking a Genie Plus.
They are trying to book their Genie Plus right at 11:00 when they become available. And if you wait 5 minutes, same thing in the morning. So many people are disappointed, especially on these headliner attractions. They're so disappointed because they're like, it's not right. I waited and it was 7:05 and I couldn't get that attraction. That is truth.
Right.
Yeah, that is the truth.
Because it's not
because
7.
you didn't do it at 7.
Yep.
You didn't set your alarm clock for 7:59 a.m. and sit there and watch it turn 7 and immediately book it.
And I want to reiterate what you said early. And a lot of people make this mistake. Get off of the resort Wi-Fi at that point in time when you're trying to do
It will
things.
crash the system.
Yep. The only possible exception to that is at our favorite resort, which is the Animal Kingdom Lodge. Especially if you're staying in Kidani Village, the cell reception there is not. It's the worst on property. You're going to get about half of your bars. So however many bars there is, 4 or 5, whatever it is, you're going to be at about half of those. It can slow down there. And at Kidani Village, it's more spread out resort, and they have different Wi-Fi hotspots inside of that hotel. That might be something we found when we were staying there, that being on the Wi-Fi was actually quicker than the cell coverage. But that's an
exception.
Yeah, Animal Kingdom Lodge is an outlier. It is farther away from everything than anything else. And when we go this year, it may be that they're supposedly putting up more cell towers over on that side to improve that. But the resort Wi-Fi and the Disney in-park Wi-Fi is always going to be slower than just using your cellular data.
Yeah, absolutely. I turned it off the second I got there, and I had 0 issues. And there were people, I would tell people, they were like, I can't get it to work. Why is my system? I was like, do you have your Wi-Fi on? They were like, yes. I'm like, turn it off. And they would turn it off, and they're like, oh my God, it's working great now. I'm like, you've got to turn that Wi-Fi off.
And the Wi-Fi will also, because it will suck the life out of your.
Yes, because it's constantly searching.
Yeah.
For those other hotspots.
Yeah, it will suck your battery.
And if you don't have a phone that holds a pretty good charge, go buy they're very expensive at Disney. Go to Sam's and get a 2-pack of portable hotspots for I think it's $25. Those little black bricks, and they're great. And then all you do is
hotspots or chargers?
I meant chargers.
Yeah,
what I mean.
They have the fuel rods at Disney,
and they're $30 a fuel rod, probably.
Well, you spend the $30 one time, and then you can switch them out.
In any event, have a charging device with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those fuel rods, you can pick them up in Disney Springs. I think all parks have them. And the thing with those fuel rods, and what we're talking about is it's just a little portable charging device. With those, you can, well, obviously you can charge them yourselves, but you can go to the little station, just stick them in, and they'll give you another one.
Yeah, trade them in.
Fully charged. But it is, and I would say if you're going to be in the park for a long time, that is something that's something. And for some people that are listening, going to be listening to music and things as you're running the marathon, you may want to carry one of those in your pack, depending on how long you're going to be out on the course. That could.
If it was me, it would be a long time.
It'd be a long time.
And you'll have to hunt for these because they don't have them many places, but you can find them. 1.5 to 2 foot cable, so you're not tripping over the cord and getting the cord tangled up in a bunch of stuff. They make the shorter cables. You just got to kind of hunt them.
Yeah.
All right. What else do they need to know? It's about time to wrap it up.
I mean, I could sit here and talk about Disney
I'm
for
aware.
hours.
I am aware.
So, but I think we've hit I think we've hit the highlights. We didn't really talk about dining reservations, but I think at this point, you should have made your dining reservations a while back. They do have wait lists that you can join if you couldn't get a dining reservation. So you can watch those, and those can pop up, and you can join a wait list, and it'll tell you when to come back.
There's a cool little place at Animal Kingdom, just for example, called Nomad Lounge. The wait's unbelievable, but their virtual wait list, we walked across and did a couple things on the other side of the park. And about the time we were getting done, it texted us and told us that our window was open, and we strolled back. I think it took 10 minutes to get back, and we walked right in.
Yeah, that's another good feature that they've done. I will mention Genie Plus. Going back on this, you can modify your times now, so you can book something, and if it's not a time you like, keep looking at it through the little modify thing, and you can modify your time. They just added that like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, just always have one. If you're going to pay for Genie Plus, just always have one booked. Don't let that time and you'd be surprised how that can happen. You're like, oh man, my window's open and it was 20 minutes ago. And
set an alarm.
Yeah, do whatever you got to do that. But right now, you need to get your park reservations done. You need to be prepared to attack the mornings, especially if you're doing the 4 races in the Dopey Challenge. You want to be in there in the morning. And what I like to do is go in the morning and get up until about eat a really good lunch in the park, get up into mid-afternoon, and then mid-afternoon head back and do that. And like we said in other podcasts, if you're going and this is a huge trip for you and you don't go to Disney a lot, then tour the parks. Go into the parks. Just take the races for what they are, and they're a good experience. But you don't have to. Don't shortchange yourself. If you're inside Disney, enjoy the parks and go into them and have a good time. And I think if you follow the tips that Bonnie talked about, and you got to be proactive now. It's hard to just go into the parks without a plan now and be successful. So if you'll follow those tips, you can have a really, really good touring experience and really truly enjoy the most magical place on earth. So Bonnie, Jed, we are here now. The hay's in the barn, and we got a lot of fun to have over these next few days in the Dopey Challenge. And I hope, and I really think that if you'll follow these tips, listen to the podcast. I know it may make your head spin a little bit if you haven't been in a while, but it's really not that complicated. If you get on the app, mess around in the app a little bit. Don't let the first time you're trying to do these things be at 7 o'clock in the morning of when you're trying to book. Get on the app and look around, see how it's laid out, and if you do that, then you'll have a really, really good experience.
Absolutely.
So hey guys, we're here, and I can't wait to see that this podcast is going to drop. We'll have one more Dopey podcast that's just going to be a course review. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown course review of all the courses, kind of walk you through them, and talk about maybe some things that you want to look for on the course. And then pretty soon we're going to be crossing that finish line on Sunday, and you will have 6 medals around your neck, and you'll be able to go out and use your touring plan. The great thing about Sunday touring is you put on all 6 of your medals and you walk around the parks, and you sound like Mr. T with all those medals around your neck, and everybody's giving you thumbs up as you walk around. And then at that point you can eat and do anything you want. You can do anything you want to do at that point because it is done.
I can completely see you walking around the parks with all of your medals.
I do. I have no shame in doing that. So hey, podcast family, we are can't wait to see you there. I know we always do the Perfect Dopey group. We've got a Perfect Dopey group. We do a picture of all the Perfect Dopeys that are there, and so can't wait to see you all there. And if you'll use these tips that Bonnie's told you, you're gonna have an awesome time. So until next time, just remember, you'll do the hard things today, tomorrow will take care of itself.